bringing you the latest news from Monterey Athletics. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back to the High School Fan Zone on a Monday night. It's late March, but we're going to talk a little bit of football in the Plainsman Fan Zone because, first of all, I mentioned this before the break, I've not had Judd Thrash or his players on since the end of their great playoff run, and also they have a little bit of spring football coming up later this month, heading into a spring game. I'm going to let Judd give all the dates on that. We'll have these guys introduce themselves. Judd Thrash is on my far left. If you're watching on TV, you'll recognize his voice. He's been on here before. I'll get these other two to introduce themselves by name so you know them by voice as well.
Jacob Mosley.
And Corn Boyd.
There you go. You said corn, so keep you out of trouble with moms and grandmas and everything. I see your name Q everywhere. I'm like, I bet mom wants it to say corn. Fair enough.
Yeah, she liked it.
Yeah, that's what she gave you when you were born. That's the name she gave you. So
yes, sir.
And I was teasing Mr. Mosley here that when he walked by, all of a sudden the sunlight outside stopped. How big are you?
I'm about 6'1", 315 right now. So yeah.
You've Judd. There's a reason you guys have steadily gotten better because you're growing some guys on the vine here.
Yeah, before the offseason started, our program weight was, or last year during offseason, it was 175, and our program weight average right now is 205. So we lift a lot of weights around Monterey. So we start in the middle school, and our kids are doing a great job in offseason. So we're starting to get bigger. And so we had 24 guys lift over 1,000 pounds, and the more guys you have over 1,000 pounds, so, the better chance you have to win.
The more guys you got, like Mr. Mosley, it doesn't hurt. Now, I don't know how much weight Corin can lift, but I also know that Corin can pick him up and put him down pretty quick. I showed him a picture on the front of the website here where he's got some juice behind him when he gets going.
Yes, sir. Our O-line next year is going to average, I think I did the average. We got 3 guys over 300 pounds. I think the average O-line will be 285 pounds as a unit. So we're excited about this coming year's offensive line.
What was your time in the 100 at the Lubbock Invitational meet last week?
It was a 10.47.
And had you run, would you tell me, first time you've ever run that event?
Yeah, since last year.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just showed up, put your cleats on, and went.
Yes, sir.
Spikes, I guess they call them.
Spikes, yes, sir.
Yeah, the click-clack spikes. Because that picture is probably, the one I showed, it was probably, I would guess, the 3 fastest guys in Lubbock right now. Corin Boyd, Alan Gant, and Cedric Ross. James Bozeman from Estacado might be in that conversation.
Yes, sir.
So you held your own against Alan, who's just, you guys saw him in football. That guy is an incredible athlete, and you held your own in that. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, sir.
Jacob, were you doing track as well?
Yes, sir. I do shot put. I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst, so it was all right.
If I look over at Coach, I'm going to bet he looks at you and says you're out there, and that's good enough for him.
Yes, sir. We take pride in our track program. We want the guys to get out there and compete. And one thing that's interesting that I've seen lately, and I talked to the guys about it today, is we're winning in everything. I think we're starting to develop the mindset that the expectation is to go out there and win. And so we won the city track meet. Everyone in the city, and then we won the Lubbock Invitational, the boys. And so I tell the guys, we want to win in everything. You should have the mindset that when you step out there on the playing field, regardless if it's checkers, we're trying to win.
You're old school, so I know you like football guys that either wrestle, run track, or both, because they're all sort of interrelated one way or another.
No doubt. We make all our football guys do track. Like all our skill guys run track, and all our bigs throw the shot or disc, and then everybody else is in B team track. So we got everybody doing track, and I think it's important in the off season because you're trying to develop speed, but not only speed, but you're trying to develop that mental toughness. And in order to run track, you got to have mental toughness because there's some races that hurt, and you've got to have heart, and you've got to have determination, and you've got to fight.
Follow up on that, Jacob. The fact that you guys are out there competing. I loved what Coach just said just then, that he wants you guys competing and wanting to win and everything. How much has last season carried you guys into the off season, into the spring and track.
Yes, sir. So last season, I feel like it was a really good stepping stone for our team. It showed us that we weren't the best, but it showed us that we could compete and that we have a long way to go, but we can definitely compete with, pretty high level.
Corin, you were on the basketball team that had its moments as well. What did you learn coming from football to basketball and at a track? Kind of what Coach said, that gradually, maybe not so gradually, you guys are kind of, especially LISD, starting to kind of take over a little bit.
I'd say just getting everybody to buy in, just having the whole team wanting to actually put in the work to be able to get better for the future. And that's why I think we're like gaining a step on people and just growing as a program, just because everybody's starting to buy in and actually want to put in work.
Now, the next step is you have to keep building on that football-wise in the fall. Judd, what have you seen about these guys so far that encourages you that they're embracing that?
That goes right along with what I talked to them today after workouts. I talked to them about, I've been at really big programs, seen what it looks like, and I'm starting to see flashes of what it looks like. For example, every morning we average 50-something guys there. Every day after school we average 50-something guys after school.
Let me stop you there, because the end of your first season, how many guys suited up on varsity that last game?
We had about 25, and next year we're looking to have 45 or 50 guys. So the program is growing, like you said.
That's incredible when you say, because people don't understand, just showing up in the morning, that's not your whole team, but that to double it like that's just incredible.
No doubt. I mean, I can remember our B team track, which is after school. My first year had 4 guys. This year, it's like I said, it's 50-something guys. I mean, so whenever you see all these good programs that win year in, year out, it's because they reload. And our theme going into the off season was, MP takeover. We're starting to do really big things at Monterey. Our academics are doing great. Boys soccer's won 3 district titles in a row. Boys basketball won 2 district titles last year and the year before. We were right there with Denton Ryan. It was about 3 plays. We've never really played them close. We won district first time in 22 years. So everybody's doing great at Monterey, and big things are happening.
That's just the boys. The girls had a pretty good basketball season.
Yeah, the girls won state in basketball. I always use this as Aaliyah Chavez. She's always at our practices. She loves to watch football practice, but the girls basketball, they made a name for themselves, and I feel like Monterey is making a big name for themselves.
We'll be back to talk more Plainsman after the break in the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Diving headfirst into Monterey athletics. You're listening to the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back to the Plainsman Fan Zone on a Monday night. I'm Randy Rosetta. This is 100.7 The Score. We're talking Monterey football because I'm going to let Judd take it here for a second. You guys are in the off-season, but the off-season ramps up here in a little bit. Judd, tell people what's going on.
Well, since football ended, we've been determined because, our goal is to get past that second round. Mm-hmm. We know it's going to be Denton Ryan or Alito. And it's like I've told the guys all offseason, mark your calendars. That's the team that we want. We want to show that we do belong as one of the state's best programs. And so, it's kind of, gave us that motivation, to get better this spring. We just tested, like I mentioned earlier, we had 24 guys over 1,000 pounds. Our 40s are faster than they've ever been. Our projected varsity roster is bigger than it's ever been. And, you're looking at 45 to 50 guys. So we got more guys in the program. Got a great junior high class that's coming from Evans. They won a district title, 8th grade and 7th grade. And, like we just talked about, the girls just won state in basketball. So I think we're headed uphill. We got spring ball coming up. We're the only school in Lubbock that's doing spring ball this year. It starts April 28th. It'll be 18 practices. We have a spring game that'll be May 21st or 22nd. We always give 2 dates in case it rains. Yep. It'll be at night. We'll have the band there. It'll be a huge event. We're going to invite our palm team, cheer. We're going to make it a huge event. Might even have a raffle there. We invite our middle school kids there. They'll probably be on our sideline because we want to get them used to what it looks like. And And, it's just been a great offseason. Like I said, we've had more buy-in than we've ever had since I've been here. It's just incredible to see, where it's at right now. We got, a lot of numbers. There'll be a lot of competition this spring, a lot of questions to answer. And that's what I've been telling our guys, how you do in spring ball determines, where you're going to be at in the fall. And so you got to go out there and make a name for yourself because there's some guys fighting, for a position like our quarterback position. Q's working some quarterback, Jack Greaser and Dallas Trevino. We got 3 guys competing for that job. We got, a few O-line spots. We got some linebacker spots. And so we return a lot. We've got a lot of linemen coming back, a lot of receivers coming back. Our corners are back. Our D-line and our O-line is probably the best it's been since I've been here. It's probably going to be the best O-line, D-line. We had a move in, Javion Ramon. He's 6'6", 245, plays defensive end.
Got a pretty famous brother.
No doubt. He's over at Tech. And so, that's what's crazy is kids are wanting to come to Monterey. We got new guys enrolling all the time because they see the success that Monterey's having, and that's kind of what our theme has been is MP takeover. That's what we say, Monterey Plainsman takeover. We want to be the best in the city, but we want to make a name for ourselves in the state of Texas as well.
So spring ball for players, how do you get fired up for spring ball? There's not an official game to get ready for, Quarren, but I think Coach may have just hit the nail on the head. The motivation is he wants to see you guys get better and start to kind of carve a spot for where you're going to be. How much does that fire you up?
It fired me up a lot just because, you get to just go out there and compete against your teammates, but then also be able to help your teammates and get better and see each other's mistakes and just practice on certain things with each other.
If you don't have spring ball, and I covered college football a long time. Spring ball is a big deal to them because coaches get those practices to evaluate guys. And if you don't have that, Jacob, those coaches have gone a long time without seeing you in a competitive situation. How competitive do you want it to be with you big guys especially?
I look forward for it to be very competitive. I think spring ball is really good to build up players that aren't, all the way at their A game. I think it's really good to build up those players and just get your team better and better for the season.
Judd, do you guys do 7-on-7?
A little bit. We'll go to one state qualifier, but another thing I didn't mention, what we use spring ball for is right now we're reviewing our games from this past season, offensively and defensively. Like, for example, we'll do a week of flexbone getting ready for Tascosa. Yep. We'll do a week of, what Amarillo High does on offense. So it's an opportunity to work the things that we struggled at with what we did in the fall. And so the coaches review the film and say, okay, from this game we need to work this game we need to work this. And we go in spring ball and try to make those corrections. So for us, spring ball is about corrections as well.
You're not the first coach that said that about working on the option and flexbone a little bit more because you don't see it very often and you don't want it to be completely foreign when you get there. So we're coming up on the second break on the fan zone, the Plainsman fan zone. Reminder, Monday nights are always LISD nights after Thanksgiving, so Monterey's hits cleanup every Monday. We start out with Coronado, Estacado, Lubbock High, Monterey. That's 6 to 7:30 every Monday night. We'll come back for the final segment of the Plainsman fan zone on 100.7 The Score.
Your inside look into Monterey sports. This is the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back. We've got one more segment of the Plainsman Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I'm Randy Rosetta. I'm with Monterey football coach Judd Thrash. Jacob Mosley is the small fellow there to coach's right. You're not a small guy, but he does kind of dwarf you when you sit next to him, which is good. That's what you want your offensive line, defensive lineman to do. You provide the speed.
Yes, sir.
What did you tell me last summer, the first time I ever met you, that you were going to be Luke's home run threat?
I'll be like Tyreek Hill.
There you go. Now, you played more on defense. I thought you were huge on defense, but Coach was just getting you ready to be more of an offensive weapon this year, I bet.
Yes, sir.
Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Because you guys had some dudes who could go get the ball. Judd, one thing that I thought was key last year is that you brought a new offensive coordinator. and you did some things a little bit differently than the year before. The year before, you were very run-oriented, had Jamarcus Smith, who could carry the ball about 70 times a game and not lose a step. A little bit more diverse last year. Do you stick with that, or are you going to tweak some more in this offseason?
Yes, that second year it was all about toughness. So we got in the eye. I just wanted our team to establish an identity of toughness, and then I felt like we mastered that. And so now we're very multiple on offense. Coach Sims does an outstanding job. He's been a head coach before, so it allows me to focus on defense, and he focuses on offense. And we're a great team together, and so I'm very excited about him. And our quarterback coach Dana Gillespie does a great job as well. But like you said, I'm very excited about our offense. You got Cam Taylor, who had 800 and something yards receiving. He's coming back. Q Boyd is coming back, made some big-time plays. You got Tamon Fitch is coming back at receiver. You got our O-line that's going to be as big as it's ever been. And then we got a stable of running backs. Deuce Moore is coming back. Orion Jackson is a sophomore to be. He's an outstanding player. Darius Tillman, Legend Williams, and also Don McKenzie. We've got tons of running backs, and so we got a stable full of them. So at quarterback is the big question mark right now between Jack Greaser, Dallas Trevino, and Q Boyd. We're going to work all three of them and kind of see what happens there. Then you go to defense. You got Q Boyd coming back at corner. Terrence King's coming back. D-line, you got KJ Russell. He's been around forever. You got Javion Ramon. You got Patrick Deary, and you got Jordan Evans. We're loaded up front. Just got to identify who those linebackers are going to be. Javith Cruz is coming back at linebacker. He was all district. And so figure out who those other two linebackers are, and we should be pretty solid. So we return a lot. And so very excited to get spring ball into the way and to answer those questions.
One of your teammates, I'm going to get you both to talk about this because Deuce became a nose guard at the end of last year too. One of your guys, I don't know if it was Luke or one of your guys, said that Deuce may be the single toughest guy on your team just for the size that he is. So Q, take it from there. Was he how tough is that little guy?
Deuce, he really tough. It don't matter what type of injury he got, he go play through it. It don't matter if his leg was broke, he go chop lane with his leg broken. He gonna play. He just love the game of football.
All right, Jacob, did you have to go up against him when he was at nose guard? Was he knocking heads with you big guys?
Yeah, you could say that. He's a pretty tough guy. I mean, I didn't really think that he was a threat to me, honestly, but he was pretty good against the other team. So
get up there underneath your pads. I bet he could do some damage, because I did after Coach told me that. Coach mentioned something about him being. He told me to keep my eye on him, and I put my binoculars on him, and every time I looked down there, he was doing something. He was making a play.
Yes, sir. He's definitely got a hard head.
Those are the kind of guys you love to coach, though. Those are when you've got an undersized guy who has no idea how small he is, how big he is, I guess. Those are the guys that make a team.
No doubt. I mean, when they run the flex bone, the quarterback's got to, get, work the mesh and get down the line of scrimmage, and Deuce messed up the line of scrimmage all night long. He played a big role in that game. I mean, they couldn't function as an offense because of Deuce, and so he did some big things in that game for us. Also against Abilene High, got a lot of pressures. We put him at defensive end on third down in our Mustang package, and he did a great job. Teams couldn't block him. And so he plays a variety of positions for us, and he'll be the lead running back this year. So excited to see what he can do.
The difference talking to you right now compared to 2 years ago is that you're mentioning names that are familiar. A few years ago, there were guys that hadn't been around. You kind of mentioned when you talked about KJ, these guys have been here for a while. That's how you build stability in a program.
No doubt. When I first got here, Q was in 8th grade, and I got here in the spring. Mosley was in 8th grade. KJ and Mosley will be 4-year starters, and Deuce played some varsity. So some of these guys were 4-year starters because we didn't have very many numbers, and so I feel like these guys are kind of like my own kids. They were young in the 8th grade when I first got here. I feel like I've been around them forever. So that's a good problem to have.
That is, and that's one of the reasons Monterey's built some stability, and they're building some momentum. We'll be back Wednesday on the Tiger Fan Zone, Pirate Fan Zone, and Patriot Fan Zone. This is Randy Rosetta, and this is 100.7 The Score.